Hey guys, I'm back with another update video on my Trailblazer. So a lot has gone into this thing since you've last seen it. Most of it not on film, only because of time situations and crunches in order to get everything where it needs to be. This is my daily, and with working a job and needing your daily car to drive every day to get there, things don't always get done as fast as you wish, and or it's hard to get it on film while also having it done. So that's more of an update, and of course if there's anything that you want me to go more in depth into that you see in this video, that's comment below and let me know. That's totally easy. I'm going to try to make this part of it quick. Basically, since you've last seen it, I wanted to start with brakes. Just rolled over about 100K, and the only brakes that were done on this truck was at about 55-ish thousand. The fronts had new pads and rotors. The rears were never touched. So at 100,000, the rears were still factory. So they did start grinding and everything, and with the few trails I did run on, it got dirt in there and just made it even worse. Warped one of the rear rotors, so it was time to do brakes. And I said, if I'm going to do the rears, I might as well do all four corners. Well, I ordered rotors and pads. I got Power Stop Z36 truck carbon ceramic pads, and I got the rotors from another retailer. They're drilled and slotted, and they're also they're coated black on the edge of it, on the edge and in the center and the hub and everything, so they don't rust. And when I first received all four rotors, they sent me the fronts for the older style Trailblazer, which I actually still have here. So basically when I put them on, the hub was wrong, so when you put the bracket on, they would scrape, as you can see here. So they had to send me the correct front rotors, because I have a 2009, so my the rotor is flat here, not on an angle. So I do still have the front rotors for the older Blazers sitting here. So I got a friend though that is probably going to be picking those up from me. And because of that, I didn't record the brakes. And then I got them a week later, and I needed them on. So now they're on. As you can see here, broke in and there's the Power Stop pads. They've got metal. They've got the nice metal backing to them, and hardly any brake dust so far. The braking performance is fantastic with those pads. You can definitely tell the higher bite. That's what the rears turn out to look like. So I do have to clean it up a little bit, but so far loving it. I also purchased wheel spacers, as you can see here. They're 1.25 inches. They're 1.25. Just test fitting those, and as you can see, it does bring the tire out almost perfect. But I might try wider just because I've got a friend with 1.5s on his, but I think I like these the way they are right now. It's just enough poke, really. I have a video that I'll be posting. If that video may come out before this one, but I probably will wait and do that video afterwards. I did a video on the proper procedure on getting those wheel spacers installed, because with running 1.25 spacers, you do have to cut your lugs, or your studs, excuse me. You do have to cut your studs. They just barely stick out to where when you go to put the wheel on, it won't go flat. So you do have to just trim your studs, which you trim no threading. You only trim the edge of it, which has no threading on it. So no big deal at all. It does take a little bit of time though, obviously, if you're doing all four corners like I did. Just took a saw blade and cut it off. There will be a video coming out with that, and how to do those, and I'll probably add on to the video on the torque specs of what I did with those. I definitely picked up a torque wrench, because when you're running wheel spacers, you definitely want to do a proper have proper torque on there, because if you just kind of guess on it, not a good idea. But Even with these wheel spacers on, this thing cruises down the highway nice and smooth. There is no rattle, there's no shake in the steering wheel or anything. Of course, that's with the proper alignment. So after the brakes and the wheel spacers, I ended up purchasing a lift kit. Now, the reason for that is because the upper top hat of the strut in the front on both sides, I did not replace those when I put new shocks in the struts and shocks on this back in February, and that was my mistake completely. So they were really worn out, so it felt kind of bouncy because the top hat would move without the strut moving before the spring actually started working. That's a mouthful and it may be hard to explain, but I figured 2 new top hats is more expensive than just purchasing the Rough Country leveling kit. And the Rough Country leveling kit gets rid of those top hats, makes it solid, and new bushings to put on top there, better updated design. So I said, forget it, 80 bucks, shipped to my door. So after that lift kit was shipped to my door, got it installed, and wasn't too bad in my garage. Only took me a couple hours. The most important part is if you're doing this by yourself, you got to be really careful with the spring compressors. Just went and rented ones from my local auto parts store and did that. It is not something to mess around with, but you do it properly, you're good. It's kind of hard to see, I'm sorry for the light, but this is where the original top hat used to sit. So then you can see in here, this is a metal spacer and it's part of the Rough Country lift. So the front was lifted 2 inches, and then the Rough Country lift came with 3/4 of an inch spacer for the rear. And I put it on because I had it, of course, and I tested it, and it's just a little too it's just a little bit not enough for the rear for my liking. I didn't want, it was level, but from certain angles it looked like the front was sitting higher than the rear, and that's only because I'm looking at the fenders or the wheel well, and the front wheel well is taller than the one in the rear. So out of me just wanting it to have that tiny bit of rake and not perfectly level, I went and ordered an inch rear spacer, so it's going to give me a little bit more of a lift in the rear, and I measured it out and everything, and that's exactly what I think is going to work for me. These were only 28 bucks, so not really concerned about, wasting spaces and whatnot. And you can use this plus the Rough Country one that I have on here right now, so which means I can make it even higher if I wanted to. Now, of course, I'm not going to do that. So today's vlog is kind of just going to be me showing you how to put those in the rear. Really not that hard at all. So then after the leveling lift was installed, got the proper alignment done, which is a whole nother thing. With a lift kit on these Trailblazers, you have to find somebody that in an alignment shop that knows what they're doing when it comes to lifted alignments. With these, you'll never be able to get the caster back into spec with a lift on here. Of course, if you want the proper camber, it's a long thing to understand, and I've had to do a ton of research in order to get it to go to where I need to get it the right way. And the other big thing is when I went to get the alignment after the lift, I noticed that I needed an upper ball joint for this side. The ball joint was completely roasted, so I said okay. So I put 2 new ball joints in, which of course I'm not gonna really. I was crunched for time and I didn't record that. So this car has brand new upper ball joints on both the left and right side, and I went and purchased upper control arms because the bushings were shot too. So I figured instead of I also had to take the upper control arms off anyways, because when you lift these to get the ball joint to have a better angle on it, there's a trick. You actually take the passenger side upper control arm and you flip it to the driver's side. So this is actually the driver's side control arm just flipped upside down on this side. So since I had to take it all off, just put 2 brand new ball joints in here and upper control arms. Got that all taken care of. Got it aligned. It's all proper now. It drives fantastic. I also ended up just purchasing new lower shock nuts and sway bar links. This was only because I have taken it off so many times. Just wanted to get new ones on there. Sway bar links were looking kind of old. It does have 100,000 miles on it, so I mean those things are kind of getting to that point. So I just wanted it to be all brand new. Now after everything's done, torqued proper and the alignment is proper, rides super smooth down the highway. I like where it's at. But again, I'm going to try these inch spacers in the rear to just give it that little bit of rake that I was talking about that I might like. And yeah, so it's kind of just, it's where I want it now. But now after looking at it, I'm thinking of bigger tires, but maybe that's a future thing. We'll see. Everything, of course, in here is going great. Just recently changed the oil, so I spilled a little bit on here. I got to clean that off. 7 quarts of Mobil 1, and it's running good. So yeah, that's about all I have to say for now. And if you've got any more questions or want to see more of what I did with the vehicle, especially with the lift kit, or more proper procedure, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, and there will be a next video posted right after this one with the proper installment of these spring spacers that I've got right here. So so yeah, it's sitting pretty good. Of course, I have it on jack stands right now, so it doesn't, you know, but you can kind of see the front, so it's going to be a little bit lower probably, but I'll have pictures at the end of this video. Thanks, guys.